Dirty Bria Hartley back at it again with her shenanigans, and this time around, she had her eyes set on one Sophie, the Trophy Cunningham.
The Indiana Fever pulled out an overtime win against the Connecticut Sun. But let's be real, this wasn't triumph. This was survival. Kelsey Mitchell exploded for 38 points. Sophie Cunningham went down with a brutal knee injury. And Bria Hartley? She turned reckless into criminal. This game revealed everything wrong and everything fragile. The Indiana Fever came into this matchup with playoff hopes dangling by a thread. Facing the Connecticut Sun, a team with one of the league's worst records, should have been straightforward. Instead, it turned into chaos. Think about it. The Fever needed overtime to beat a 6-27 squad. That's not dominance. That's desperation. Every possession felt heavier than it should have been. Every missed shot, a reminder that this team is far from steady. When you're clinging to the last playoff spot, games like these aren't about style. They're about survival. But what does it say when survival takes everything out of you? Fans expected an easy ride, yet what they got was a roller coaster nobody asked for. From a jump, Indiana looked flat, unprepared, out of rhythm. By halftime, they were down 20. That's not a playoff mentality. That's playing with fire. And while the scoreboard shows a win, anyone who watched knows this game raised more questions than it answered. The Fever showed grit, yes, but they also showed just how fragile they've become without depth and consistent leadership. Let's cut straight to the ugliest moment. Bria Hartley barreled straight into Sophie Cunningham's leg like she was auditioning for an NFL offensive line. That was an accidental. That was a reckless football cut block, and it was illegal in every sense of the word. Watch her eyes, and she's looking right at Sophie's leg before collapsing. That isn't clumsy. That's targeted. This is what makes fans furious. Sophie's been the glue holding Indiana together since Clark went down, and Hartley made sure to rip that apart. She should be staring at a 20-game ban for that nonsense. Call it what it is. Dangerous, dirty, and unforgivable. You can't call yourself a professional and pull stunts like that, because that isn't basketball. That's a cheap shot straight out of a playbook this league should never tolerate. And let's not pretend this is new for Hartley. She's been reckless everywhere she's been, always on the edge of control. Last night, she crossed the line. The league can't just shrug this off with a fine or suspension. If you want to protect stars, if you want fans to take the product seriously, you have to set the standard. Hartley has no place in danger in players like Sophie Cunningham. But let's not just stop at Hartley. Where was the Connecticut coach in all of this? When a player repeatedly acts out of control, the responsibility doesn't end with her. It begins with leadership. Coaches set the culture. They decide what's tolerated, what's reinforced, what's allowed to continue. Hartley's reckless play has been obvious for a long time, and yet nothing was done to rein it in. That's why this falls directly on the Connecticut sideline. He's led this simmer until it boiled over into a dangerous hit that could sideline one of the Fever's most important players. Good coaches keep their players disciplined, smart, and aware of what crosses the line. Instead, we saw a coach who either looked the other way or didn't care enough to fix it. That makes him just as responsible for the fallout. When a player like Hartley dies in knees, the consequences aren't just for Sophie, they ripple across the entire league. It's injuries like these that derail seasons, kill playoff dreams, and put careers in jeopardy. So yes, fans should be furious at Hartley, but they should be just as furious at the coach who allowed this dirty culture to fester unchecked. The moment Sophie went down, the entire arena went quiet. You could see it in the players' faces. They knew this wasn't just another knock. Trainers rushed in, towels came out to cover the scene, and Sophie couldn't even put weight on the leg. That's when the fear sets in. For the Fever, losing Sophie is more than just losing a starter. She's been the glue of this roster, the tough defender, the scrappy playmaker, the steady presence through all the chaos of Clark's absence. She doesn't whine. She doesn't make excuses. She just competes. And suddenly she was gone.